Yo my peoples, what's up? Welcome to the One Stop Co-op Shop. Jason here, and today I have a playthrough of Paperback. This one was designed by Tim Fowers, published by Fowers Games. It is an oldie but goodie. It came out a few years ago now as I filmed this in 2021, but it stands up to the test of time. Always a fun time, so I'm happy to show you this brand new playthrough for Paperback. It is a word-based deck builder. You're going to have a hand of cards, and the cards I have some letters and some wild cards, and I'm going to be forming words. As I form the words and generate a little bit of currency, I'm going to acquire these cards into my deck, and I will make bigger and better words. This game features the solo mode, which is the cooperative mode. You can also play this game cooperative, but we're going to be playing one player today with one deck. And it involves the acquisition of these wild cards. So I'm going to be acquiring wild cards into my deck and hopefully making it to the top of the pyramid before time runs out. But before I get to the proper rules explanation and the playthrough, I would like to tell you about the One Stop Co-op Shop. We are a gaming empire. We have the YouTube. We have YouTube streamed, where we feature live plays of various games from the hotness and also from our personal favorites from years gone by, just like I'm doing here with Paperback, a personal favorite from years gone by. We have our Discord, which is where we have conversations with a lot of cool people. The Discord is completely free to join. We have additional tiers if you sign up for the One Stop Co-op Shop Patreon, which we would very much appreciate, but please don't feel obligated. You can join the Discord for free and join all of our conversations regardless. We also have a podcast, a weekly podcast, where I engage in above-the-table conversations about things in the board gaming hobby, and then Peter and Mike and Steve come back and give you games. Lots of stuff to enjoy in the One Stop Co-op Shop, your one stop for solo and cooperative gaming goodness. All right, so let's do the quick and dirty rules explanation for Paperback. It is a classic deck builder, very much the distilled essence of a deck building game. If you're unfamiliar with deck building at all, I'll just give a very basic rundown of what is going to happen. So then I'm going to have my deck of 10 cards. I'm going to draw 5 of them. Deck building fans should be very familiar with that. So then I am going to look at my hand, and I'm going to play. So in this particular game, you're going to be spelling words, and these are wild cards. So I could spell rat. Very, very easy word to spell. So then I would consult the top of the card over here, which would indicate how many points it would give me. So it would give me 1, 2, and I can use those points to acquire cards from the market. I can acquire any card that I can afford, and I could spend as much as I want. Let's say I generated a whole bunch of money. I could spend either on a bigger card or on any number of smaller cards over here. So in this particular case, if I spell rat, then I can basically acquire this 2-cent card. These are just kind of like floating vowels. You use them, trash after use, to make your hand a little bit more flexible. In basic deck building fare, let's say I had acquired that. I would acquire everything that I used and acquired will go into a discard. And then also these cards as well. I would go ahead and shuffle up or go to my next deal. And then once I have moved through the deck, then I would just shuffle this. Notice that I get the card back, and then I would be on my way. As I play turn after turn after turn, I'm going to acquire more and more cards, and this deck is going to get stronger. I'll be able to afford bigger and bigger things. One of the main wrinkles in Paperback, though, let's say I put my initial card right here, is I also have access to the common cards. So then I'm going to want to use those every single time, because this is going to give me 1 money every time I use it, and it is common. It does not count for anything in my hand, does not take up any space. I can always use it. If I was playing a cooperative game, every single player could use that as long as this is the letter that is showing. So then if I wanted to say make the word rate, it would be R-A-T-E. It would generate 3 money. Now I'll be able to acquire a slightly more powerful card. Eventually, I'm going to grow the ability to get longer and longer words. So let's say I acquire this card in a future turn. This is a double letter. And I'm able to use my basic cards and also the common card to make a 7-letter word. As you can see over here, it says 7 letters. I would actually acquire the word. It would go into my deck, and the E becomes the common letter, and then any person, me in solo, if I can do 8 letters, then I would acquire that E, and then move on, and then 9 letters, and then 10 letters. In the basic game, the competitive game, one of the victory conditions is to acquire all of the common cards, or that triggers the game end, and you figure out how many points people have. In cooperative and solo, that's just there, and the main goal is to actually acquire cards from this triangle over here. So in cooperative and solo mode, this is the timer. I need to acquire these wild cards. In the multiplayer game, the competitive game, you'll be acquiring discrete piles of these cards. In the solo cooperative, you're going to be acquiring a pyramid of these cards. So I cannot acquire cards that are unrevealed, so I'd have to start from this lower row, which takes 5 cents to acquire. They're all wild, so they go in your deck, and they become functionally basically the same as the basic wild cards. I have to acquire all these, then all these, and then the top. Eventually, I'm going to have to acquire the largest card, which is 17 cents. That is a lot of money to generate on one turn. Hopefully, you will be able to do that. Okay, so every time I do not acquire a card in my hand, I need to take one of these cubes and I need to place it on a card. Happens every single round that I do not acquire a wild card. I will have to place one of these cubes. If I do acquire a wild card, then I can just acquire one with a lot of cubes, and that kind of resets the timer a little bit. But I still need to keep going in terms of cubes that I'm putting down, and have to keep up a regular pace of acquiring wild cards. Anytime that a wild card has 5 cubes on it, that is the end of the game. That is a terrible thing. But the moment that I acquire this top card is the moment that I will win a game of Paperback. So I am ready to begin my playthrough of Paperback, but before I do, I wanted to at least get us started with the powers of the cards in the offer, the lower cost cards, which are going to shape my play in terms of which cards I'm going to go for and acquire or try to acquire. The 2-cent cards are disposable. They're all vowels, trash after use. They kind of, if you have a little bit of money left over, they don't really gunk up your deck, and they give you a little bit of flexibility. And also, they generate money, so it's not bad to acquire these. I have a couple of cards over here. So I have a T, which is you may trash a card from your hand if you do +1 cent. In solo, there's so many wilds to acquire that I think trashing and drawing are going to be pretty prized. So I'm going to maybe look to acquire that T. S over here, if a word score is 8 cents or more +1 card next hand. Don't know if I'm going to go for that right away, but you know, S's are always good to have because S's can be used in every single word. And then these are the 4-cent cards. Here you go. Here's an S +1 cent per wild in the word. What? There's going to be a lot of wilds in my hand, so I'm probably going to want to acquire that one. A double letter, AR. So if I wanted to clean that out a little bit, that would be a good buy over here. Now we're getting to the good stuff. M +1 card next hand. Bigger is better, and it gives me a little bit of money. 2 is a good number, so I might acquire that. And then N only gives 1 and then double the score of an adjacent card. So this would be the kind of thing that I want to pair together. If I did ARN, double the score of an adjacent card, that would be 6. So you get a sense of the kind of combos that you're going to want to establish. It's not just a word game. There's also comboing of powers, which we're more familiar with as gamers. All right, let's get started. What did I end up with? RLS. All right. So I've played this game often enough where I mean, the beginning is so the same every single time, especially if you use the basic cards, that you end up spending the same words over and over again until you can mold your deck a little bit. So then I am going to make Rails, RAILS, which generates me 4. And I think I want to go for this S instantly right there, +1 per wild and word. My deck is going to consistently have wild cards. and S's are always a very flexible numbers, or flexible letters, so I'm going to want to go for that. I know exactly what is coming up. What is coming up is T and N. So we are just going to go with the simple tan, T-A-N. That gets me 3. I do not, I repeat, do not want a ton of S's in my deck. So I am going to go for this T. Not sure how this got caught down there, but I'm just going to leave it. It's all good. So you may trash a card from your hand if you do +1 cent. Probably going to have to thin out some wild cards, especially after I acquire a couple from the offer over there. And that is a very, very simple round. So now I'm going to go shuffle up, and I'll see what I get to make my next turn through the deck just a little bit more exciting. All right, so here is my new hand. Did not get any of my snazzy cards. So once again, I am doing basic stuff. So we are going to spell S-T-A-R, star, and we're going to acquire a card that costs 4, but I already have 2 T's in my deck. So this one will be +1 card next hand. Ugh, I don't think I want to acquire like that many T's. I already have 2 of them in my deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to acquire 2 of these wild cards, which happen to be an A and an E. And so that will kind of fire me up. Hopefully I get them together and give me a little bit of a leg up so I can, buy some of the better cards. You're probably yelling at the screen right now because I have not been doing this. The beginning is so pro forma that I forgot. That's been 3 turns, so I'm going to lay 3 cubes on these cards over there. All right, next hand. Unfortunately for me, I did not get anything fun whatsoever. So I'm just going to keep on spelling the same words, the same kind of words over and over again. N-A-I-L, which is nail. That is worth 3. Once again, I'm kind of stuck with S and T in the 3. That's unfortunate. I mean, I could use money to, just buy a card and get rid of it so I can get a little bit of flow into the offer. You know what? I'm just going to risk it. I'm going to just acquire this T and see how it goes. If the worst comes to worst, I have a little bit of ability to trash. And it will at least unlock this 3 cent pile. Another S. If this is the last letter, +1 next hand, it's the same exact version of the T. I'm sure there's other versions of cards. Yep. Lots of double letters that just happen to, get unlucky with the S's and the T's. Or maybe I got lucky. I don't know. We'll see how my hand shakes out. All right, so a couple things. First of all, I moved the pyramid over just a little bit in order to make room for bigger words that I'm going to be spelling. Number 2, yes, I know. I put the 4th cube down there for my 4 turns. And I had 2 cards left in my deck, which were the special cards that I acquired last turn. So I drew them and then reshuffled my discards for a brand new deck. And I ended up getting most of my good cards. So I am going to spell straight, like a narrow body of water. So then it is S-T-R-A-I-T. This one says I can trash a card from my hand if I do +1 cent. I don't know if I want to do that right now. Or maybe I do want to do it right now. But there's also this card, which is +1 per wild and word. So it doesn't even matter. So I'm just going to hold on to the wild just in case I need it for some letter flexibility, because I'm not going to acquire these just yet. I'm going to let this build up a little bit, and then hopefully my deck will be strong enough to make some big moves. Okay. But I do get 1, 2, 3, 4, thanks to the wild, 5, 6. And what I am going to acquire, so 6 is really good, and I might be do well with this C, but I really, really like this M right here. M is a decently useful word, not as useful as some, but it's pretty good. And +1 card next hand generates 2 money. So I waste a coin, but that's okay. I am perfectly okay with that outcome, and now I have started to make my move. That was 6 letters, 7 letters to acquire that A. I'm working on it. Well, there you go, a third cube on that one. And I did not get the two vowels together, which is unfortunate. That is my word. Well, it's not my word, but I wanted to show the audience the letters just in case they wanted to form the word for themselves. I've thought about it a little bit, and I am going to form the word sandal. S-A-N-D-A-L. And so this one gets trashed after use. It does not go back to the offer, it just gets removed from the game. But I do get the 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 money from that. And that is going to be... So I could acquire this N, which would be +1, +2 cards next hand. Wow. But I think let's go reach a little bit deeper into the pile over here. Let us do C, which is gain a card costing up to 4. I'm going to need a little bit more trashing if I'm going to use this a little bit more actively. But that's okay. I will figure out what I can do from there. And I'm going to put the last cube here on 4. The reason I did that is because I'm going to start to acquire these cards. It's good to acquire a wild card that has 4 cubes on it. You have flexibility in terms of what you put on there. When you acquire this card, all the cubes go away. So it's a little bit of a way to lengthen the game a little bit. All right, so one last turn. And I drew this E, but I drew it, unfortunately, with a pretty terrible hand. So I don't have to use cards that I don't want to. So I'm actually going to save that for another round. We are just going to make T-A-R, tar, T-A-R, for 3, and I'm going to acquire this S to unlock that 3 row a little bit. This S's power is, if this is the last letter, +1 card in the hand. About as easy a card to proc, considering the way the English language works. So that is fine. Timer continues to tick, but I think my deck is at a point where I can start to acquire some of these cards and manage it. We'll see. All right, we are at the next round. Still making kind of easy words. So then I'm not going to bother. When I get to the more complicated words, I'll give the audience, or you who are watching, time to kind of play out what you want to spell. Here, I'm just going to do the easier things. We're going to spell trails, T-R-A-I-L-S. This S I just acquired. If this is the last letter, +1 card next hand. All right, now we're going to start cooking with gas. Maybe get that 7 letter and move the common pile a little bit. I don't have to, but the next letter down is E, which is a little bit more flexible to use. So then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we are going to go for this N. +2 cards next hand. Let's keep it moving, people. We are going to move through that wild pile. I am really building up these on the Chinatown connection cards and also just the regular wild, so I really have to watch that. All right, so I have drawn my cards. A lot of wilds, huh? But I did draw this T. This T says that you may trash a card from your hand if you do +1 cent. Now I'm going to start getting rid of these wilds and see if I can replace them with wilds from the area. I also got this C over here, gain a card costing up to 4 cents. We are going to continue to emphasize card draw, or we're going to get this double letter. I think just we're going to double down and go for card draw, +1 card next hand. Again, trying to prioritize cards that let me mitigate all those wilds that I'm going to get. So we're going to acquire that. And we're going to just put these in the discards because I'm not going to use them. And we're going to spell the simplest word of all, C-A-T. So I did the powers, and I am going to acquire the Chinatown connection with the 5 cents that I have generated. So since I did acquire a card, I do not put another cube on there. So I'm going to do the same thing, get this to 4, get this to 4, get this to 4, and then acquire them as I go. All right, so my next hand, this happens every once in a while. You draw a hand that has 0 wilds and 0 vowels in it whatsoever, which is unfortunate. So I am actually not a very good word person. In terms of these word games, I'm more into this because of all the powers and the chaining and stuff. I'm okay at vocabulary, but The deck building is my draw. I'm not going to sit here and waste a whole bunch of time doing, squeezing the words out. I bet there's a way to use these two cards, but I'm not seeing it right now. We're just going to go with that combination, which is Mast, M-A-S-T. +1 card next hand. I have no wild, so that does not proc. But if this is the last letter, +1 card next hand. So my next hand is going to have 7 letters. Fantastic. And that is 2, 3, 4, 5. I think the game is telling me that I should acquire a wild. I should have put these 2 cubes on this Chinatown connection. I think I screwed that up a little bit. I should have just been building up wilds over here. And this hand just told me acquire another wild card so that you have a little bit of wild flexibility. I think I need to... Let's do this. D is a fairly common letter. It's okay. +1 per wild and word. I am going to acquire more wild cards. I'm going to say that this was an aberration. And I am getting more draw, at least. So we're going to acquire that. And we are going to put the timer on there. Wait until that gets to 4 in order to acquire it. All right, now we're cooking with gas over here. I have a hand of 7 cards, including my common card. I'm just going to go ahead and lay out the letters for you. So, for all of you word fans which want to play along a little bit. But first I'm going to proc some powers. Well, I'm going to proc 1 power. This T says, you may trash a card from hand if you do +1 scent. And I could trash this wild. Nothing says that I have to keep the wilds in my hand. I just have to acquire them and get them out of the pyramid. So it's a way to, kind of clean the hand. But I think that because I have these 2 ends, and 2 ends are just, you can use them, but they, cause some impediments. So I'm actually going to trash this N as a starter card. So then I am going to start the word with A. We are going to go to TT. This is trash after use, so let's go ahead and use that now. Attends. A-T-T-E-N-D-S. +1 cent per wild card and word. There you go. I got +1 cent from the trash. And I'm going to get +2 cards next hand. Sweet. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 is a huge, huge amount of coins. So because I have 10 out of this, I really feel like I want to move over and acquire like a really powerful card. I absolutely love this card. So 4, worth 4, +1 card next hand. That's excellent. So we're going to acquire that card. And we are going to have enough S's. I mean, there's usually not enough S's. You know what? Let's just do it. I do not have enough S's. If a word scores 8 cents or more +1 cards next hand, want to get that in this situation where I've drawn a bunch of extra stuff, and it's more easily available because I'm prioritizing card draw. Excellent. So that is how the market moves. I'm going to get +1 cube on there, and we are going to move on to the next round. One more thing I do acquire, because that letter was more than 7 letters, I do acquire the common card, and now I'm on E as a common card. Sweet. All right, so I have drawn my extra cards. I'm ready to do the next word, and believe me, off camera, I have been thinking a lot about what this should spell. As a side note, this is exactly why I do not like to play this game competitively, and especially with more than another player. The AP is pretty crazy. Waiting for somebody to ring the last letter, ring the last point out of their hand. There's this temptation to kind of want to use everything, which is almost impossible, especially for someone who isn't as word specialized as myself. So cooperative, solo, that all works for me. There's also a simultaneous play variant in the rulebook that was included in the second printing, so I invite you to explore that. Have I wasted enough time in terms of what to do? So what I've decided is as much as I want to use these letters, I'm going to have to skip that for another turn. and I am going to take out that one too. The reason being is because I still want to prioritize some card draw, and I think I can accomplish what I want to just with this word. So then it would be tempt, T-E-M-P-T, plus one card next hand, plus one card next hand. If this is the last letter, plus one card next hand, we're just going to set up for the next turn. That's what we're going to do. So then I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is going to be another wild card, and that is discards the 4. And now I have this exposed, which is nice. So I'm going to acquire those. The common card stays where it is, and I get to move on to another hand. All right, so that one wasn't quite ideal, but I like the fact that in this game you can, if you have the right combination of letters, you can kind of, just do what you got to do, survive until you get a better hand. And I believe I have a better hand. I shuffled this, so I got this C back. So I'm just going to spell the word because I'm so excited about it. C-L-E-A-N-S-E-S. Cleanses. C-L-E-A. Actually, you know what? That's fine. So I'm just going to leave that out. And so cleanses is going to be, first of all, I gain a card costing up to 4 cents. And that is going to be, I don't really love what I'm seeing in the offer, actually. But I do want to get this going a little bit. I think I can do something with this. I don't love taking the NG because I don't have eyes in my deck, so I'm just going to leave the NG right there. So I'm going to acquire the AR. That might not get acquired for a while, but that's okay. So that is 2, 3, plus 1 cent per Wilden word. All right. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So that is 9 cents. That is fantastic, and I can get one of these bigger words, or I can get make progress in the wild. But instead of making progress in the wild, because I think I'm at a point in my deck where I'm feeling pretty good about, that I can just kind of score towards the end, I think I'm going to buy this one. I love this for this mode. Fame cards cost -1 cent this turn, and it's also worth 4. Fantastic. And then let's just go ahead and grab an eye. That will go away when I need it to. So then I am going to just draw the regular 5 this turn. Or next turn, because I did not get any draw. Oh, I did get 1 draw, so I'm going to draw 6. And I collected the E as a common card. So that is a lot of stuff that happened. My next turn, guarantee it will not be as good. All right, so I have a 6-card hand. And another thing that the game gives you sometime if you're not really paying attention, look how many T's I have. So definitely had to rack my brain a little bit in order to find this one. Anybody have some good suggestions? This is what I came up with. A little bit of a weird word, but I'm playing with some gerunds and everything at the end. Let's see. This is a trash power, but I think I need to use all 7 letters. Oh, and by the way, I kept the E. You could, I know I acquired it in the previous frame, but I ended up putting it back there because there's no real point in capturing the letters past like A just to get it to E, because E is the most common vowel in English. So I'm just going to leave the E there. That's not an automatic thing. So, okay, so I am going to do T-A-R-T-E-S-T. Tartest. It is the most tart thing. That's a word. I did look it up, and that is a word. So playing with the gerund, or the end part. I don't know if that's called a gerund. It's probably not, but whatever. I'm terrible at English. I know that's a word. All right. So then that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 is not that impressive. But I think I'm just going to continue to make progress towards getting wilds and move on. All right. I have my next hand. And I drew my precious V. Fortunately, it is with an M and an M, so that's a little bit of a challenge to get those all in the same word. However, it is the summer of 2021. I just went to the movies and I saw a preview that helped me out here. Let's see if I could do it. That is VENOMS. Venoms. Did not use the common E because I wanted to get this going and get the extra 2 points. I think I'm going to go pretty hard after the wild at this point. We'll see. And I also got 5 cards next turn because this word is worth 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If the word scores 8 cents or more, plus 1 card next hand. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards next hand. Hand of 10 cards. I should be able to bum rush the pyramid at this point. All right. So I trash this one after use, and I get 10 coins to spend. Let's try Y. Double word score, trash after use. This is the kind of card that's useful to get the highest card. So I'm actually going to go ahead and acquire that. And then I have 10 more, but do I want to fill my hand with vowels? Probably. So let's go ahead and do that. I replace the E with the O, and I get to discard all those cards, and I draw 10 cards total for my next hand. All right, I am back, and I have drawn my hand of 10 cards. Whoa, oh my goodness. So I only got 1 wild in there, which is kind of not that lucky. But, I mean, oh man, you see? So I'm actually putting myself in an unofficial timer between shots because I could just be here all day trying to wring all of the, everything out of here. So I'm going to make a word, but I wanted to lay it out just in case everybody at home was going to be like, why didn't you make this word? It's a better word. Sorry, people. I'm not going to spend forever doing this thing. So I got to say goodbye to the Y. I'm going to save that for next round. Let's go ahead and save that one too. I'm going to use this T in the eventual word. And so I'm going to trash this R. Get out of here. Consonants, I do not need you. And we are going to get rid of that A. And we're also not going to use the S. That's unfortunate, but that's okay. So then we are going to go with, actually, wait a minute. Sorry about that. I was going to use the I. All right. So then I'm going to go F-I-T-T-E-D, fitted. Used all my special words. So then we have, remember that fading cards also cost -1 this turn. So we are going to go 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then 12 because I trashed the R. So I get 12. No wilds in the word, so we're just going to get 12, and we're also going to get +1 cards next hand. All right, so here's the cool thing. We are going to make that 7, and we are going to acquire that one. That leaves me with 5, and I don't love what's in the offer right now. This is G. It says, look at your next 5 cards, discard them all or put them back. Yeah, that could be okay. Plus G is like, kind of a middling word. And I also have double the score of an adjacent card. That could be good. But I already have a lot of N's in my deck. And I kind of want to be a little bit more careful. So, you know what? Let's give it a shot. Double the score of an adjacent card. You know what? No, let's not do that. Let's just not give things a shot for no reason. So I'm just going to continue to cycle these. These have been kind of useful. So I am just going to get the A and the E. Those are going to be worn out eventually. That's going to go away. Do not add a cube because I am not there. So I get 1 extra card draw for the next turn. All right, this one is easy. And this is what happens with a deck builder. You end up with a lot of, sometimes getting the same exact word. So then we're not going to use the C, but we are going to use the V-E-N-O-M-S. I can do that because I want to. Excellent. All right, so we're going to go Venoms once again. So then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is going to get me a 9, and I'm going to get, actually 10. +1 per wild in the word, and I have 1 wild, and I'm going to draw 4 cards in the next turn. I have 10. So I'm going to get this wild, and it's going to go in the trash. And then I only have 2 more of these left. Yeah, you know what? I'm just gonna go ahead and buy out the vowels over there. Don't know if I've played a game where I've bought so many vowels, but we're just gonna give something different a shot next time. And I've acquired a card off of the triangle, so I am going to just keep it going. Hopefully my deck is strong enough where I can kind of power through and forget about the cubes and just end the game right there. All right, my next hand, which is nice and big, but I ended up getting all the wilds. I keep on shuffling so that either I get no wilds or a bunch. So I think this word is fairly easy, and I'm actually going to hold off on this O for now. I'm going to save that for next turn, or a future turn. So we are going to go SOLAR for solar, IZES. Solarizes. So like I solarized my home. I have solar panels on my home, actually. That's a real thing that I did. All right, so no special power except I get one +1 card draw next hand, so I'll draw 6. I end up getting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So then we're just going to go ahead and acquire that. And don't have anything else to do, so that's it. Going to pass on to the next turn. All right, next hand, going ahead and lay that out. That one's actually a really simple word, or I can make a couple of different options here, but I don't know what I can do with 2 T's. I imagine somebody's going to tell me what exactly they can do with 2 T's. Well, I know what to do with your advice. Whatever. So we are going to go DIVEST, divest. This T has to be last because if it's the last letter, +1 card next hand. I want that. +1 card, 1 hand. So we're going to have a 7-card hand next turn. Also, I get +1 cent per wild card twice. So that's worth 2. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That is enough for that one. We are moving on. And I still have the buffer of the cubes. So I have a couple of turns to be able to build up the money to buy the last 3. So I'll see how I do. Okay, so now I have a new set of cards. Let me go ahead and lay those out for you. At this point, just want to score as high and as often as possible. So I think I have a way to use all of the point scoring at least. So we are going to go COLLARS. Okay, so could I have used the E? Possibly, but I'm not going to spend all that time figuring that out. So that I can gain a card that costs up to 4. I'm not really sure if I have to gain the card, or if I can kind of use it to just trash it to get it along, because I really don't like the NT or the NG there. So yeah, you know what? I'm just going to acquire it and get this moving. That's a little bit of a better card to have over there because of the vowel flexibility. So there we get 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That is worth 8, and I'm going to acquire that one too. And this one's going to get trashed, and I get +1 card next hand. Only +1 card is kind of terrible because it won't let me get that one right away, probably, but you never know. All right, so this is a fairly hilarious hand. I got the double word score. So I think I want to save that for the last card. So I could easily make a word with YIA. That would be 7 multiplied would be 14, enough to get that one. But that seems like such a waste. And I think the Y is going to be my secret weapon to get the last card. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to punt. I'm not going to get anything. And so because I'll keep these temporary cards in my hand. I don't know if that's the best play, but I think I'm doing pretty good so far. I'm not going to spell anything, or I'll spell in and get 0 points and no credit, and just keep on moving the game along. So hopefully this 5-card hand will propel me into something that's a little bit more successful. All right, cheap old little 5-card hand. Not much that I can do with it, but we are going to spell ferns. after Tartus. That seems like a come down, but what are you going to do? This will get me started back up with the bigger hands, because this is 2 cards in the next turn. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Did not use the E over there. 8 is not enough. Even with the discount, Fame cards cost -1 this turn, but I still can't get it. So we are going to actually move along this pile. So we are going to do that, which is G. We're going to get rid of that. And we are also going to get rid of 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I have 8 that I can get rid of. I'd love to get rid of that. But yeah, let's just get rid of that too. I'm going to try to see if I can get a little bit of E action over there. Yep, that's basically it. And hopefully I have 3 more turns to try to get a 11 cents. And I think that's not a problem. This is the one that I'm more afraid of, which is 17 cents. All right, so again, I've hit a kind of a lull period with my hand, fortunately, but that's okay. So nothing really going on. I don't get anything out of the lengthen word because I'm not progressing the common cards, at least not for solo. I'm not going to be able to get enough for 11, so that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 is the maximum that I can get. But I can trash a card from my hand, so that would actually make 7. Goodbye, Wild. And let's see, +1 card next hand, +1 card next hand, so I'm going to draw 2 extra cards. So that is Matter. Okay, sure, Matters. MATTERS. And that gets me 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's not terrible, actually. Let's get a Z. This Z is -1 card. Fame cards cost -1 this turn. That actually make a difference. Like if I get a ZY and it costs -1, that would be a really good combination. And of course, one of my favorite cards. It takes so long to show up. P +3 cards next hand. This is a game winner right there. Love that card. All right, I am in the end game. I'm actually feeling pretty good about the hand that I drew of 7 cards. The next hand I'm not feeling so good because I'm only going to draw the 1. All right, so let's do F A I N T E S T. Faintest. I don't have the faintest idea if I'm going to win or not. A little bit of an idea, but I used it in a sentence. All right, so this one gets trashed after use. This is plus cards next hand. So I'm going to draw 2 extra cards next hand. But I get 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Exactly what I need. But I get a discount, but I did not need the discount. So I am going to get the Vicious Triangle. I'm going to trash this E, and I am going to have 5 cracks at getting that one. I still have my Y in here, so I'm actually feeling pretty good about this this victory. And I also have 7 cards coming to me, so let's see. All right, so the Strike of the Wilds. This is why solo is hard. The idea being that if you have one person absorbing all the wild cards, they're going to gunk up your hand. You need to deal with them. And I don't think I did a decent enough job. I did a decent job. I don't want to say I did a great job. Cards like this would really help with extra draw. But they didn't really come out. And I don't think I was aggressive enough in cycling the offer. So I have 4 wild cards. And the Z is just going to go to waste. Waste. Ugh. Oh boy, so we are just going to play Zit. I don't know a lot of good Z words, and I had to play this T in the at the end, so I'm going to get +1 card next hand. So that's 6. Whoa, terrible. Definitely not near enough for that, but let us go ahead and just continue to try to, maybe that'll happen. I don't think it'll matter at this point what I get from the offer, unless I have a card that says I can acquire it to my hand, which I don't think that exists in this game. So I guess I'm stuck with whatever the deck gives me, but at least I get 1 card next hand for 6. All right, more kind of biding my time over here. Unfortunately, my bigger cards are kind of coming separate. The Y, I do not know what the Y is going to get paired with. I think the Y is kind of my only hope at this point, which I really did not want to be in that position. Whatever. So actually, let's get this I out of here. We are going to go with V-E-N-T-S. So actually, we're going to go with event. So E-V-E-N-T-S. So 4, 5, plus 1 per wild and word. 6, 7, 8, 9. We're going to acquire that P and acquire the last card. I have no idea if that really messed me up. But acquiring all those trash cards and kind of having them in my deck. I'm not an expert. I'm just demonstrating the game. All right, so how many cards do I draw next hand? I actually draw up to 8 because I got 1 from the V and 2 from the N. So this might be where I make my big strike. 8 cards. And it is. So yeah, I don't think I was served very well by the rest of the cards in my hand. But I got my magical Y. And we are going to go with a very simple word, yards. So yards is 3, 6, 8, and plus 1 per wild and word is 9. We're going to double that, which is 18. We're going to trash it, but 18 is enough to get the last card and win a game of paperback solo. So I did not play well, and I won anyway. There are ways to moderate the difficulty. You could use less cubes. The cubes ended up not mattering too much for me. But you could use less cubes. You could reconstruct the pyramid a different way. I imagine, that. I specifically asked Tim Flowers about that. Having the free E is just kind of like a powerful thing. So you can kind of, probably switch that. So that works a little bit differently. But for the most part, I hope that you got a sense for how Paperback, the original Paperback, plays. Paperback Adventures is the follow-up, which is a very, very different word game, but still a word game deck builder, which just finished its Kickstarter and would be available on late pledge and eventually going to be available in retail. So that is Jason with the One Stop Co-op Shop, reminding you that we will see you at the next stop.